the radio, building dreams and achieving more, telling it just like it is. Most of all, keeping it real. Are you ready for real talk? Changing lives and communities. Real talk. Saving all our families. Real talk. Bringing hope for you and me. Real talk. Real talk with Judy. Real talk with Judy on the radio. Real talk with Judy. Real talk with Judy on the radio.
Well, hello and welcome to the Real Talk with Judy live radio show. I am Dr. Judy, your radio host. I want to thank you for tuning in and giving me another hour of your time. Thank you so very much. I greatly appreciate it. It's always an honor to have you to come back with me to enjoy what the Lord has given to me for you next. And today is going to be such a powerful show. But y'all know it, I always like the Real Talk with Judy show. I think it's very powerful, informative. I don't think it is, because I work to do that for you. I want you to receive all that you can receive and leave empowered. That is the objective of this show, that you will leave empowered, that you will leave blessed, that you will be that you will go and share it, and invite others to come on. So thank you once again for being on the Real Talk with Judy show. And I want to thank God for my awesome husband, Judy Mandrell. Thank God so very much for him. And to our marketing director, Priscilla John Lewis, and Ms. Carolyn Waddell, who is, I think that you would call them the producer of the show. We are switching, and so she would be the producer of the show, making sure that everything is on and running on time and all of that good stuff. I greatly appreciate her and Priscilla, but I thank you so very much, Ms. Waddell, for taking the helm of this and taking us into the next direction of where we would go. And again, to you, the audience, I want to thank you for coming back. You keep coming back, and I want to say thank you so very much. Thank you so very much. And to all of you who are tuned in now, and to all of those who will be tuning in, I want you to go ahead and tag and share. Yeah, let us know where you're from, and so we could get this show moving even to the next level, So we are excited about that. And y'all remember, I am always Irma Hunter Wesley's daughter. And she is the reason I am who I am. Actually, I'm Irma Hunter and Sylvester Wesley, Irma Hunter Wesley and Sylvester Wesley's daughter. And I am doing this in their honor, and I am about to rock and roll with this thing right now. Thank you for taking a seat at the table with me today. And I'm going to talk about today, you are rising. You are rising. And we're going to get into that. You contain everything you need to rise. Even if you feel raw right now, you are rising and you have all the ingredients. Everything you need is in you. And we're going to talk about that. So think about this metaphor. The ingredients of a cake, the flour, the egg, the sugar, the oil, even bread, the same ingredients. I think in bread, they use water and baking soda. But on their own, they all are a mess. They are messy. Flour is dry. Raw eggs are unappealing. Oil is heavy. But without the mess, there is no miracle. And sometimes, y'all, what you get from a mess, I know what they say, you get a message come out of a mess. And sometimes what you get is you got to see it. That's what we say, right? You got to see it before you see it, or you never will see it. And so with the mess that you see first, there's going to be a beautiful structure. There's going to be a beautiful cake, a beautiful bread, if you do it correctly. Psalms 139, 15 to 16 says, my frame was not hidden from you when I was made in this secret place. God, our frame and what God had prepared for us was not hidden from him. His eyes saw our unformed body. Isn't that something? He already knew what we would look like when he created us. And I thought about that. I thought about that. Out of all the billions of people in the whole world, he already knew each one of our frames when he put us in, quote, the oven, quote, put us in our mother's womb. He already knew the frame. You, excuse me, you are no accident to God. He purposely created you. And I'm using this first month to really speak into you of 2026 because I really want us to move forward. I really want us to move forward and accomplish and be all that God created us to be and accomplish. The quote said, "You are not a mess, you are a mix, and God is the master baker." That's by an anonymous writer. It says, "You are not a mess. You are a mix, and God is the master baker." Many of us feel like our lives are just a collection of random raw ingredients. But it's not. You have the oil of anointing, but you also have the dry flour of hard season, of a hard season. God is saying that the rising start in the mixing. The rising start in the mixing. Romans 8:28, for we know that all things work together for the good of them who love the Lord according to his purpose, right? And so you are a master plan of God, but there's a mixture that we have to go to. The mixing, it is only when they are combined, often vigorously, that the yeast activates. So we got to have the mixing. You got your flour, you got your egg, your baking soda if you're cooking bread, you got your oil, but you got to mix it. And I don't bake, but I've been there. I have baked before, but I'm not a baker. But you have to stir it hard, and you got to mix it, and you got to really. And some people, you hold that bowl and you mix it, and you got to get it good. You got to get the lumps out. So sometimes the mixing is very vigorous. And that's what some of us went through in 25, 24, 23, 22. We went through a mixing. And guess what, y'all? There's going to be more mixing in 2026 and 20. Life is not without, excuse me, life is not without the mixing. We're going to have the mixing, all right? The rising, the expansion, the rise is a direct result of the chemical reaction triggered during the mixing phase. Okay, it's the rise is the direct result of the chemical reaction triggered during the mixing phase. From a spiritual perspective, the mixing often refers to the intersection of the divine and the human, or the blending of different life experiences, both good and bad. Both good and bad. You got your trial and your joy. Just as a painter mixes dark colors with light to create depth, spiritual rising or enlightenment often requires the mixing of our hardship with our faith. You know, a lot of time we want to skip all of these processes and go straight to becoming. No, you're not going to just become. And sometimes the reason why people fall off or get angry or quit, because people don't tell you that there are some hard days, and they don't just stop. You're going to have a good high, and then you may have a good low. Okay, but nothing is always 100% I forgot what you call it. Okay, anyway, always up and down. Nothing is always up. There will be times in your life. There will be times in your life more than once that you will have trials and joy. You will have trials and joy. Okay, you will have happy days, challenging days. You will have healthy days and sick days. It's just the way it is. You will have money and you won't have money. So I suggest to you, in those happy times, in those joyous times, in those times you have money, save it all up. That's all. Just save it all up and make it work. But the catalyst is the agitation of our daily life. The people we meet, the challenges we face, to stir up the potential on the inside of. Another interpretation is that we rise when we mix with others. Diverse perspective. We have different ideals. We come from different cultures. Personality clashing combined. The mixing, it leads to innovation and higher levels of understanding. The rising. And I call this Real Talk with Judy because I don't want to. I don't want you to be fake. I don't want you to think that you have it all. That this is the way it is. You need an agitator in your life. You need someone who will push you. You need someone to tell you the truth. Because unfortunately we have. Y'all ever watch Apollo? That's I think that's why I like. I forgot what it was. I used to like the show because they wasn't chosen and they didn't sound good. But at home, to parents encourage the children, which we should, but we also should tell them, baby, you don't sound that good, because if not, when they get in the real world, they're not gonna make it. And I know we give them trophy to everybody because we got to teach people how to lose. You got to teach children how to lose. That's why some of these children and adults get upset now, because they hadn't been taught to lose. No, baby, you did not come in second place. You did not come in third place. Good try, but we got to practice more. We have to practice more. We got to give it to you more. No, baby, you was off key this Sunday. And it is okay. It is okay, but we got to tell the truth. You're going to have knocks in life. You're going to get to a crossroad. You're going to have those things. That's the truth. Those things are going to happen. That is not a lie or anything. You're not going to win all the time. But all of that goes into the mixing board. You're not going to be chosen all the time. But all of that goes into the mixing board and into the mixing bowl. And we have to teach our children that. So when they grow up to be adults, they're not angry when things don't go their way. Everything is not going to go your way all the time, but you put that in the mixing bowl. And see, this is stuff that people don't like to hear. They want you to think you're always going to make it. You're not. You're not. You're not going to always be chosen. And it's okay, Mother Tinsley. And it's okay. But what happened is that become part of the mixing. That become part of the mixing. Mixing. You got to put the flour and the oil and all of that stuff together. The hard time, the soft time, and because you're rising, but in order to rise, it takes that agitation. It takes all of this. It takes all of this. At our church, they gave out our youth director, Evangelist Bride. They gave out awards. They gave out certificate for everybody who did well in their school. Those who made, I think it was 3.0 or 2.5 and higher, 2.0 and higher, something like that. But they gave medals to those who had higher than 3.5 and good behavior. One little boy cried because he had good grades, but he didn't get the medal. He didn't get the medal, but he did get that. And they told him, you have to do better in school in order to get the medal. Can I tell y'all what it did? It's pushing him to do better. It's pushing him to do his behavior, to pay attention to his behavior. That's what it does. And so if we're going to rise, we have to put all of this together. We have to do this. And you are rising despite your ingredients. You are rising because of how he has combined them. Okay, they tell you, my husband, I watch him when he's baking the bread, and he has to mix everything first. And there's a certain way he does his eggs and everything that he puts in there, but he puts it in there and then he vigorously beat it. He vigorously beats it. And that's so everything can blend together. And sometimes, catch this, sometimes in order even for people to blend together, there has to be a vigorous stirring. But you'll never blend if you're never participating, if you're never there to be blended. An egg can't be blended if it's just sitting in the refrigerator, right? It's just an egg in the refrigerator. You have to crack the egg and put it in with the other ingredients. It cannot be a part of the cake. And I'm not sure what it does to the cake if you forget to put the egg in there. I know you don't put the baking soda in there, the baking powder in there. You automatically is not the cake of bread is not going to rise. Okay, and then once you do that, once you mix it, and this is what you have to understand right here, there is the heat chambers that the bread must go into. It requires all of that mixing to be put into the fire. It requires a cake cannot rise on the kitchen. You can leave that cake on the counter and that cake is not going to rise. That cake is not going to move. That cake, those ingredients will not become a cake if it's not put in the fire. It has to go in the heat. It has to go in the oven. If you feel like life has turned up the heat, it's because it is time to expand. If you feel like life has turned up the heat, it is time to expand. It is time to expand. And it's not time for a pity party because we're moving. People have empathy, but not pity. Empathy to understand where you are. Pity is like, oh, me. And I think some people live for pity. They just want you to pity them. But then there's empathy that we give. Empathy is part of the heat. Okay. And then you put them in the oven and you turn that heat up on the oven. You can't bake a good cake on 200. I think that's warm. 200 or 250, that's warm. And you're rising because the pressure inside the oven is forcing the potential within you to take shape. The pressure or the heat inside the oven is what's forcing all the ingredients that's been put in the pan is forcing the potential to take shape. They're transitioning from a liquid state to a solid foundation. I know my sister Robin, she baked her cake. One cake didn't rise like she wanted to. She said it was too much noise, too much distraction in the room. She said we were talking too loud and moving around too much. And it made her cake not work good. It didn't rise like it was supposed to. But guess what? It still was a good cake. But the appearance wasn't that good. So, but what was happening when the cake went into the oven, it was transitioning from a liquid state to a solid foundation. The heat is what activates the leavening agent. The heat is what activates the leavening. The mixing is the integration of the element. The heat is the catalyst that forces the transformation to become permanent. And my sisters and my brothers, I would love to suggest to you that the heat that we endure in life, those moments that we go through that feel hot and burning, those things are transforming us to become permanent risers. Okay, and make that is what make the cake it takes it permanent shape, its permanent form inside that pan or that cake pan. It takes its shape when it's in the bowl being mixed. What it shall be has not been seen in a manifestation form by the one mixing the cake, but we have seen it through our eye faith. the eye of faith. We have seen it, and we use that. We use that to see what the cake is going to look like. Without the fire, the dough is just wet flour. Without the flour, the dough is just wet flour. It has potential, but it isn't bread yet. It isn't cake yet. It has the potential to become, but it isn't yet. And some of you all are in the potential state. You haven't become yet. You're in the potential state. And in this spiritual and metaphorical contact, the heat represents the trial, the pressures, or the divine fire that tests what what was mixed together. Okay, the heat come to test whether or not it is going to form. I remember in high school I took shop, and we were doing the wheel, the potter, the clay on the wheel, making a cup, making bowls, and all of that. And after we finished shaping it and doing different things, we had to put it in the oven. We had a fire thing that we had a light fire to it, and it burns off certain things. Y'all, the fire is absolutely necessary in your life. In chemistry and baking, heat provides the energy needed for a reaction to occur. Heat provides the energy needed for the action to occur. The cake would never move. Everything that's baking without heat, it got to have heat. There's some gifting. There's some things in your life where heat is absolutely necessary. Everything, everything, excuse me, everything that I went through last year, the beginning of, my Lord, beginning of this year, metaphorically, heat is the most uncomfortable part of our life, I believe. For my life anyway, that heat was the most uncomfortable part of my life. But I've come to learn it served three vital functions. Number one, expansion. Heat causes the gases created during the mixing to expand. This is the literal rising. In life, pressure often forces us to expand our capacity, our patience, and our perspective. Heat causes us to expand. The pressure of heat often forces us to expand our capacity, our patience, and our perspective. And the solidification, heat changes the structure of the dough from a fluid, unstable state to a solid, finished form. It sets the growth so you don't collapse back into your old self. Heat help burns away the things that does not need to be in us. It causes a connection. It causes connection to happen. It sets the growth. And then the purification is the metallurgy. Heat separate the dross from the gold. Purification in metallurgy, that is taking the gold, that's the metal. When you put the metal in the heat, it separates the dross from the gold. It takes away those things that not gold. That you may be tried, the scripture said, that you may be tried in the fire and come out as pure gold. As pure gold. It burns away the fillers and it leaves only what is authentic. And we keep saying we want to be authentic and we want to be real and we want to be this and we want to be that. My sisters and brothers, it takes the fire. It takes the fire. But I see so many are rising in this era during this season, 2026. It's going to be a year of rising. It's going to be a year of greater for you. I see it. You're rising. Some have been stuck, but I see you rising above those things that caused you to be stuck, that held you down like quicksand. You're coming forth. But the sequence is critical. If you apply heat before the mixing is complete, you get a burnt or even uneven mess. That's what I just told you about my sister Kate. It wasn't burnt, it was uneven. It wasn't even a mess. It tastes pretty good. It crumbled some, but it was a good cake. We ate it. It was a good cake. But if you apply heat before the mixing is complete, you get a burnt, uneven mess. And if you mix before never applying heat, the mixture eventually spoils or becomes stagnant because it's just sitting there. And if there's no fire under you, sometimes I remember the old folks used to say, honey, put some fire under. Put some fire under them. Put some fire, and they'll move. Put some fire under them. Get that fire under them. And sometimes that's what people need. You just need some fire put under you. You got the potential. You have the ingredients on the inside of you, but it needs some heat. Something got to go through there. Okay? Here's the stages. You got the mixing. That's the integration or agitation. Preparation of the inner man. That's what the result does. It prepares the inner man to receive the heat. All right, then you got the heat. That's the testing and trials. It is the activation of the rising. Okay, so you got to do the mixing first, then you got the heat, then you get the results. That's the completion, a finished work. When we say the rising start in the mixing, it means the levying agent, the spirit or the potential, is distributed throughout your life during the messy phases. When we say that the rising starts in the mixing, the spirit is distributing throughout your life during the messy phases. That means that everything on the inside has been distributed equally and in all spaces so the cake can rise evenly. My brothers and sisters, you have to rise evenly. You don't want one part of you and the other part. It took when people say, I'm just praying, and you're still doing a whole lot of talking. You ain't just praying. All right, you can't sound deep in the heat. Oh, that right there was good. You can't sound deep in the heat because that heat is going to bring out the real you. The heat doesn't create the potential for the rise. It only activates what was already put there during the mixing. The heat doesn't create the potential for the rise. The heat does not place in you what is not in you. What is in you is already in you. What is in you is already in you. You have potential lying dormant because no heat has been placed in it. I want you to understand that what you go through, what you have gone through, what you will go through, what you will go through, what you will go through again, the heat is there to help is going to activate what was already put in you during the mixing. And if you put anything in there that does not produce or bring forth a good cake or good bread, it too will come forth. Only what's in you will come out of you. Only what's in. The Bible said, guard your heart, for out of it comes the issue of life. Everything in your heart, what people do is in their heart. So say, guard your heart. Put a watch over your mouth. Be careful what goes into your ears, because that's what's coming out. The Bible said, as a man thinketh, so is he. Okay, as you think, so are you. As you think, so are you. This is why the mixing is so important. If the yeast isn't folded into every part of the dough, the heat will only cause certain parts to rise while others stay flat. You've seen it. You've seen a cake like this, and I know that those on the radio can't see it, but I got one hand higher than the other because that's how we rise when things aren't mixed good. So we want a good mixture. We want a good mixture to take place. We want things to be woven together good. That's why you have to be careful who you listen to. You have to be careful what you hear. You got to be extremely careful what you speak. You got to, because it is all part of the mixture, and the heat rises what's on the inside of the batter. The heat of your current situation is not there to consume you. It is there to engage you with what God has already mixed into your soul. God knows what he calls you to be. He knows your potential. He knows what's in the inside of you. And can I help you? Be careful of allowing people to push you to a place where you're not, because if you're not ready for that place, when the and if it come crashing down, you're not gonna succeed. And most people who push you to push you, they're not gonna be there to support you. I've seen that happen. I've seen that happen. Okay, but God has a mix on the inside of your soul. God has a mix on the inside of your soul. It is the signal that the preparation phase is over and the elevation has begun. It is that. And you have so much power on the inside of you. You have so much goodness on the inside of you. What makes a cake rise? It's the baking powder, the leaven. That's what make a cake rise. That will make you rise. The greater power working from the inside out. God don't work from the outside in. We'll never be good enough. We'll never be good enough. We'll never be the best ever. And no matter what you are, no matter what you accomplish, no matter what who you become, always remember this. And I often say this because I want people to be helped. Always remember this. Somebody always going to find fault or a problem with you. Always. They're always going to find a fault or a problem with you. But you got to realize that the greater power is working from the inside out. You get in that oven. Hear me. Get in that oven where you are. Get the mixture right quickly. Get that mixture going together. Get it all mixed up real good. Get in that oven and stay there until you're really done. Stay there until the impurities are burnt out or burnt off. Stay there until it's time. And in due time, you're going to rise. You're going to rise. Because what makes a cake rise? It's the baking powder. It's the baking soda. It's the leaven. It is the smallest ingredient, yet it has the most power. And guess what? You don't see it working. You don't see it working, but you see the results. You see the results of it working. You see the results of it work. Okay? This highlights a profound spiritual and physical truth. The power of a thing is not determined by its volume, but by its nature. In a recipe, you might have 4 cups of flour, but only 1 teaspoon of baking powder. Only 1 teaspoon of baking powder. Yet the flour is passive. It is the baking powder that is active. Here's an elaboration on why the smallest ingredient holds the most authority in the processing of scripture. Luke 13:20-21 says, "What shall I compare the kingdom of God to? It is like yeast that a woman took and mix into about 60 pounds of flour until it worked all through the dough, all through the dough, all through the dough. What is in you is greater than what is around you. You might look the same on the outside for a while. For a while, you might look the same on the outside. Nothing may have changed. I remember growing up, they used to sing a song. So I looked at my hand and they looked new. I looked at my feet and they did too. Something got a hold of me. That what they used to sing. So, but the Spirit is creating air pockets of grace and strength. You are rising from the inside. You start rising from the inside. I just thought about the bamboo tree. They say the bamboo tree is planted and it's watered. The seed of the bamboo tree is watered every single day. Every single day. Every single day it is watered. And it's growing, but y'all, it's not growing on top. But they say in about 10 years, 7 to 10 years, some people say it like this, all of a sudden. But there was no all of a sudden. Can I help you? No one is becoming greater all of a sudden. No one is making it happen all of a sudden. Some people see people, they say, wow, where they come from? All of a sudden. No, there was no all of a sudden. They worked for that. Understand? You didn't see it, but they was working. They was working. It was growing underground. It was growing out of sight. You didn't see it. They were rising from the inside. Baking powder is a concentrated chemical agent. In spiritual terms, this represents faith. This represents faith. It is a spirit. It represents faith. Influence versus mass. Most of our lives are made up of flour. Most of our lives are made up of flour. The mundane, the routine, the heavy bulk of daily tasks. The leaven is that small, concentrated bit of purpose or belief. Okay? The catalyst is defined as something that participates an event without being consumed in large quantities itself. You don't need a lot of God. You got the whole God. When we get the Holy Spirit, y'all, that's the whole of God. He don't give us half of him. He don't give us his head or his feet. We get all of God. Okay? We don't need a whole lot of truth to change the situation. You only need a pure amount. And all of God is a pure amount. I just need you not to be weary and well doing. You're going to reap if you faint not. You're going to rise. You really are. The leaven does not work from the outside in. It works from the inside out. And it's an invisible action. When you mix baking powder into dough, it disappears. It goes away. You can no longer see it, but it is everywhere. It is everywhere in there. When you mix faith with anything, faith is not seen. It is the substance. It is the baking powder. It is the baking soda of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. But it is everywhere. Chemically, leavening agent releases carbon dioxide. Okay, in many spiritual traditions, breath, the rehu, the reha, the pneuma is synonymous with the spirit. The leaven creates pockets of breath within the heavy mass of the flour, making it light. That's why you got to beat it. You got to stir it because it's only, you don't put much. I think a teaspoon or so of the baking powder. You don't have to put you don't have to put a whole lot of faith in. Just have the size of a mustard seed, but that mustard seed, that seed within it, oh my God, the plethora of what it is, the potential of what it has. If you let your faith get mixed in with the things that are happening with your trials, with your tribulation, with your discouragement. Man, you mix a little faith in there. The potential, what it has to turn into, is phenomenal. Without that tiny amount of leaven, the heat will only bake a hard, dense brick. Without that baking soda, that baking powder, it would not bake a nice, soft, fluffy cake, a nice, soft, moist cake. The leaven creates the space for the rise to happen. Oh, the leaven, the faith, create the faith for the rise to happen. You are rising in 2026. You're coming out of the slump. You're coming out of the wilderness. You're coming out of the desert. I said, you're coming out. You have been preserved for this time right here, this moment right here. Transition has taken place. You have gone through the mixing. God has prepared you for 2026. Yes, the potency of that small little faith, that small little leaven, that small little baking soda, that pinch of baking powder. Have y'all grandmama or somebody you heard cooking? They say just use a pinch. What is a pinch? They don't measure it out. The old folks didn't measure out their ingredients. They just knew how much to use to make it rise. There's a recurrent theme in Wisdom literature that the small things carry the greatest weight. The smallest thing carries the greatest weight. The Bible says a teeny rudder stirs a massive ship. There's a little rudder that guides, stirs Royal Caribbean or Carnival or the region of the sea. Just a little rudder. A small spark starts a great fire. You could just throw a match down on a dry piece of grass, and it could blow up, it could burn down hundreds of land, hundred pieces of land, as we've seen in California and other places. A mustard seed grows into the largest tree. A mustard seed grows into the largest tree. Because the leaven is so small, it must be mixed thoroughly. And if the baking powder stays in one clump, only 1 inch of the cake will rise, and it will taste bitter, while the rest stays flat. This is why God mixes us. The trials and the stirring of life are designed to distribute that small amount of divine power into every corner of our character. Hear me, that small amount of faith would take that trial and those disappointment and even the joys of life. Because we can't celebrate the same thing forever, right? The time for new celebration, but that small amount of divine power into every corner of our character, our finances, our relationship, our fears, and our dream, man, it will cause it to grow. It will cause it to blossom. It will cause us to rise. Matter of fact, I see us rising right now. I see you rising. I see you coming out. I would suggest get your paper towel, get your napkin, get your washcloth, wipe your face, wipe your hands, lift them up in thanksgiving and praise. You may feel small, or you may feel that the good in your life is like a midget by the heavy parts. But if you are the leaven, your size is irrelevant. Your potency is what determines the rise. That's what it is. All the little things that you've been going through, all the different trials, all the different things that's happening in your life, all of those things are making for the better of you. Is making for the better of you. You are rising. You are rising. You are rising. You're closer than you were before. Don't stop, even if you mess up. Just start it over. Whatever you do, don't quit. Rise. Habakkuk told us to write the vision, write out what you see, write out how it should go. Get input into your life, make it happen. All right, make it happen, because on the inside of you, you have the potential to be. You're becoming. You can't stop now. You're becoming. You can't stop now. Too many of us see what's on the inside of you. Too many of us see some things that have to happen. Too many of us, we see it in you. And we're going up. That's why I'm doing January like I'm doing it. Yeah, I've basically been on the show by myself. And you know why? Because I'm speaking into you. I'm getting you prepared for the rise. I'm getting you prepared. I'm getting you ready. I'm getting you ready. I'm getting you ready. And some people don't want to listen. One girl said, well, I know you've been 45 years of marriage. What can you tell me? Because I'm just getting married. To me, that was not a bright statement. If I've been married almost 45 years and you just getting married, I got 45 years of experience to tell you about. I got 45 years of experience to tell you about. I don't say people ought to do this. I give strong suggestions. I make strong suggestions. That's what I do. I make strong suggestions. I encourage you with suggestions. That's what I ask you to do. I ask you to do strong suggestions. So the heat of your current situation, as I stated, is not there to consume you. It is there to engage you with what God has already mixed in your soul. Do you not know God created you knowing that you have the possibility of rising? Do you not know that's your choice, whether you rise or fail? Do you not know that? Do you not know what you ultimately become is determined by how you see yourself? I stated earlier, as a man thinketh or woman thinketh, so is he. If you start thinking little of yourself, or you'll never make it out, or you don't deserve to be here, you don't deserve to be there, you do, just as much as anybody else. Just as much as anybody else. And that's what I train for. I train people to be there. I do. I got all these people admire me. I'm training them to be admired. To be admired. You have within you, if you just bring forth your potential, you too will be admired. Admiration is not don't just stop right here with me. No. You're too great. God created billions of people who deserve to be admired. You deserve to be admired. You do. The preparation and the ingredients are inseparable now. The ingredients are inseparable. The leaven has been activated. When I say now it's time for the cake to rise, I am describing the shift from internal process to external manifestation. And I say to you, my sisters and brothers, now is the time for the cake to rise. Now is the time for you to rise. The shift, it is time for the shift to go from doing to being. Up until this point, the process was labor intensive, measuring, pouring, stirring, and mixing, stirring and mixing. But once the cake is in the heat, the work of the hands stop. Once all of the ingredients have been put in the heat, the work of the hands stop. Once you have done your part, the works of your hands stop. But the leaven in the cake keep working. And so the leaven, your faith keep working. You cannot pull a cake up to make it rise. You can't take the cake out the oven and hold it up and say rise. You must trust the environment and the ingredients you've already put it in. You got to trust the ingredients that's in it and the oven that you have placed it in. The weight is active. In this stage, rising looks like standing still, but underneath there is intense activity. It is the moment where faith becomes sight. And y'all got to see this. When a cake rises, it takes up more space than it did as batter. When a cake rises, it takes up more space than it did as batter. You can no longer hide the transformation. When Elizabeth was pregnant, or Moses' mama got him out that water, they got him out the water, and they hid him as long as he could be hidden. But then the manifestation started. You can no longer hide the transformation. The mixing happened in the bowl. The mixing happened in private, but the rising happens in the oven, the public stage. The batter expands against the walls of the pan. This represents you outgrowing your old limitations, your old labels, your old comfort zone. The rise forces you to occupy the full volume of your potential. The rise forces you to occupy the full volume of your potential. When my grandmother passed, we kept a plant. My husband kept a plant for over 15 years that we took from the funeral. And he had to change the pot because it kept growing outside the pot. The vines or the leaves was just growing everywhere. And I asked him once, because he changed the pot the last time. And I said, sweetheart, why didn't you change the pot again? Because the plant is really growing. He said this, I don't want it to grow any further. I don't want it to grow any further. And when you stay in the same pot, you're not going to grow any further. John Maxwell said you can go only as high as the lid. So if you keep doing this to the lid, that means your growth is stagnant. All right? But the rise forces you to occupy the full volume of your potential. There is a specific wisdom in the timing of the rise. As I said, I mean, and y'all know this, y'all know that y'all seen people cook. Well, my husband with cornbread or cake, he said, don't open the door. Don't open the door. In baking, if you open the oven door too early, the sudden change in temperature causes the cake to collapse. The sudden change in temperature causes the cake to relax. And when you are in the middle of your rise, protect your environment. Don't let outside voices or premature celebration cool down the momentum. There is a period of time where you must stay in the heat until your structure is firm enough to stand on its own. The most miraculous part of the rise is the structural change. The batter enters as a liquid, unstable and easily spilled. Through the rise, it becomes a solid, resilient structure and purposeful. The results, you are no longer easily tossed around by the mixing of life. You have a crumb, a defined internal strength that can hold weight. The anatomy of the rise, the heat, no longer a threat, now an accelerant. The leaven, no longer hidden, now the architect of the shape. The aroma, the first sign to others that something good is finishing. People smell you rising. They can smell you rising. They can smell you coming forth. The height, the proof that the small ingredient was sufficient. When you finally rise to who God called you to be, you won't have to look for people. The aroma of your transformation will draw them to you. Before the cake is even seen, it is smelled. My sisters and brother, you are rising. And who you are is being, the aroma is being spread all throughout everywhere. As you begin to rise, the scent of your transformation, the scent is your peace, your new authority, your clarity. Begin to fill the house. Okay? When you begin to rise, people will notice a change in the atmosphere before they even see the finished product. Before they even see the finished product. So as I conclude this broadcast, bringing this broadcast to a conclusion, it is coming forth. It is coming forth. You are moving. You are rising. My Lord, you are rising. You are rising. You are coming forth. You are making it happen. And I want you to understand this. You are the only you there is and ever will be. And to fail to be yourself is to fail the universe in its purpose for creating you. You have to rise. You have to come forth. It's all about what God has put in you. Oh, yes, my sisters and brothers, you've been in the fire. You've been in the rain. You've been in the storm. You didn't know if you was coming or going. You just didn't know. And some of you have been celebrating. You have been happy. You have been rejoicing. You have money. Some were still in this fire. But my sisters and brothers, get ready for the rise. Get ready. You are rising. You may not see it because it's happening underneath. You may not see it because of all the mixture that's going on. But you are rising. I dare you to say it to yourself. Say, I'm rising. Put it in the chat. I'm rising. Put it in there. Just say, I'm rising. I am rising. And you are. I am rising. And you got to see yourself. See yourself going up. See yourself moving. See yourself on the rope of faith. See yourself there because you are rising. You're coming above the tribulations. You're coming above the disappointment. And you might not see it, my sisters and brothers, but you are rising. You are rising. You are rising. You are rising. It's happening. It's happening. All right? Don't get stuck. Don't get stuck nowhere. Don't get stuck. Don't get stuck. Don't let people all of a sudden try to make you think that they believe in you because they don't want you to leave them. Time for me to go because I'm rising. I'm rising. I'm rising. My faith, I smell the cake. I smell the cake. I smell the cake. And so, my sisters and brothers, I want you to understand, I want you to remember that there is nothing that God will keep from you. There is nothing that God has kept from you. You are the one. You are the one. Okay, so expect to rise higher than you'll ever imagine. Stop trusting the leaven of prayer and faith to work from the inside out. Stop apologizing for being a work in progress. Stop apologizing for that. For you are rising. God calls you to rise. And it is time now. It is time now for you to come forth. I smell you. Thank you for tuning in to this hour of Real Talk with Judy. I greatly appreciate you. I want you to join me every Tuesday night. Join me every Tuesday night at 7:30 for our Bible study. At 7 o'clock, we have a prayer point with Elder Witherspoon. Man, he's almost at 200 Tuesdays. He have been doing prayer points. And so I want you to just come on and join in on the prayer point, and then join in for Bible study. Tonight, our pastor will be teaching, and then again, join me every Sunday morning at 11 a.m. I want you to be our guest at 11 a.m. So thank you. This is Dr. Judy Mandrell on the Real Talk with Judy live radio show. And I want to remind you, I'm reminding you that the greatest legacy that you can leave is the lives you invest in. Until next time, remember, you are rising. The mixing was the struggle. The heat was the trial. But the rise is your testimony. Well, go ahead. You can cash out me at Real Talk with Judy. Get my book. Get my book. Get my book. Get my book. Show up for you. This is Real Talk. And remember, you are the rise that we're waiting to see. And that's Real Talk.
Real talk with Judy. Real talk with Judy on the radio. Real talk with Judy. Real talk with Judy on the radio.